This is that generator for the controller, okay? And so, Rails command, G stands for generate, okay? We're gonna generate what kind of thing? We're generating a controller. This is the name of the controller, okay? You'll notice that when we generate a model, it was singular, right? Capital Rails G model, capital U user, but the controllers are plural, okay? So, and you still want to capitalize it. So Rails G controller users, okay? This will create a controller for you called users underscore controller. Okay, and then I specify the two routes I want it to fill out for me. In this case, it's index and show. Okay, if I, after generating a controller, let's say I decide I needed an additional route, like a new route, I don't need to regenerate the controller, right? I can just go to the user's controller file and just add that additional route. That additional method, and go to the routes.rb file and add that additional route. Okay, so you don't need to regenerate things. I would recommend you only generate things once. Okay, yeah.
You just need to save it, or you need to you don't need to migrate or anything.
You don't really migrate or anything. Yeah, that's for models, right? Because migrating is taking the migration files and turning it into a database, but there's nothing really to turn into anything. It's just files. Okay. If you ever wanted to undo a Rails G command, I believe you can also run Rails D for destroy. Okay, and that will, you can like Rails D controller users, I think, would delete all those files you created. And I think you can do the same thing for models. I'm not 100% sure on that command. I know, but I think it's something like that. Okay. All right. Here's these other. Here are what some of the routes will look like. Okay, so I can have like a /user/new route. Okay, I can have a /user/Shane route, right? That goes specifically to Shane, or like /user/6, like a specific number. Okay, if I'm doing a post route, I just put the word post in front, and then I passed in this route. If I'm doing a get route, I put the word get in front. Okay, so this is a get route, right? And this is a post route. Okay, patches for updating. Okay, and this is for deleting. Okay, so this is what the syntax will look like. If you were to do a scaffolding, right, it would basically just write all these for you in this kind of format. Okay, you'll also notice that there is this route thing. Okay, so route is basically what route you're going to go to if you just go to /. Okay, so if I went to right now, right, this route, let's say I want to go to the user's index page, right, method, right, I could go to localhost :3000/users. We'll go there right now, as well as just localhost :3000. When I don't specify anything. Okay, so that's saying the route. This is specifying that I'm going to go to the specific route, get route, and then this is the controller name, users, pound, and then the method name. Okay, so that's how you're going to set that route.
Do you generate a controller for every model?
You don't have to. If you are doing a very cookie cutter sort of way, then I guess you would. You want to generate a controller depending on what routes you want to handle, basically. So if you want in a simple application, yes, a very simple application, yes, you would probably just have a controller for each model, and but you don't have to do it that way, right? You can in a user's controller, I can grab product objects from like a product model. Okay, but it just depends on what you really want to display and what sort of forms you want to present. There isn't like really one way to do that. Does that help at all? Yes? Okay.
Can you repeat for the users count index, like both of them represent in that get route?
Yeah, so this first one is the controller name, which is the users, right? And the second part is the method you're going to go to.
Is that like within the views for users to whatever?
Yeah. This would be like views. When we did the Django one, we basically only had one controller, right? It was just like your views.py, basically, right? So this would be like views pound index method, new method, show method, whatever it is. Yeah.
Is there a reason why on the right side it's like users or hashtag and then whatever whatever method you want to pull out, because I feel like it's kind of repetitive. Like you already have the route on the left side, right? So is there like for some reason later on why the users part?
Right. So, but you're mapping this route to this controller in this method, and those are the three pieces you need, right? We have the same thing inside Django as well. It's only repetitive because we are using, I want to say, like good naming conventions, okay? That we specifically want the /users route to go to users pound index, okay? Or that we specifically want the user/new route to go to users pound new. But if for whatever reason I wanted this to go to like new application or something, right? Then I could still route it that way. This gives me the flexibility to name the route side something different from the controller and method side. Okay, right? So because this is just your mapping right now. Of course, if we follow good conventions and good naming conventions, it is going to look something like this, right? And it may, in a sense, almost look repetitive, right? Because you can just assume that it's going to look like that. But at least you have the flexibility to change it if you want to.
So you're saying that like two different routes would still pull the same function from users, right? Like,
No, we don't have any two different routes.
Well, because when we had users and then instead of that saying like
But this goes to the users controller and the index method. This goes to the users controller and the new method. So there's two different methods. Yeah. So there's no repeats of routes here. Okay. When you see over here that there's users:_id and users:_id here, that's not a repeat either because they're different types of routes. This is a patch route and this is a delete route.
What is the patch?
Patch is for updating. Okay, so this is a keyword that you use for updating. So you have get, post, and then patch and delete. Okay. Yep. Yep. Yes. Yes. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Okay, so this would be a problem. Okay? Can someone explain to me why this would be a problem? Yeah, ID could be a string or anything. Okay, so if you do this, you will never hit this route. Okay, ID will, if someone puts /user/new, it's going to go down the routes file, and it's going to take the first thing that matches. Line 119 matches before line 120 does. Okay, so /user/new is going to go to users pound show. It will not go to users pound new. Okay.
Why is that?
Because it's going to when you go to a specific URL in the browser, okay, it's going to basically check this file to see what controller and method to go to, okay, and the first one that matches is the one it's going to go to. If someone went to /user/new, the first one that matches is this one, 119. Okay, and it'll match with the :ID being new. Okay, so because it can be a string, it can be a number, it can be whatever you want. Okay, so you will never hit the line 120 route. Okay, so if you want line 120 to be differentiated from 119, okay, because you don't want new to be an ID, you must put the route above the other one. You must put the new route above the ID route. Okay, so that is an important thing to look out for.
So it's a good rule of thumb to put like anything that gets a grammar at the bottom of the
Yes, yeah, bottom of that grouping. Yeah.
Particularly when you delete at the very bottom.
Bringing the what at the very bottom?
Because you have ID show the update and destroy.
Yeah, so those will not get confused, right? Because you have a different HTTP verb. Okay, right? This is a get HTTP verb, and this is a post HTTP verb, and this is a patch, and this is a delete. So they will not get confused with each other because they can differentiate it based on that. It's only because these two are both get ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all your gets then the colon ID should go at the bottom of all the bits.
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, I prefer this ordering really, but
But in order to
I mean, what you're saying is you would put this one below this one, the edit route, but you really only have to make sure that when they're the same, that the ID one is below. That's really it, right? I mean, this is not going to get confused with this, right? Because this one has a slash here. Okay. Yeah, this. So if someone does, slash users slash 5 slash edit, okay, this cannot match against this one, okay, because there's a slash in the middle. Okay, it's only what is before the slash. Okay. If there's no other like slash afterwards or something like that. If you search by name, I'm not sure I'm following. Yes. Yeah, if you pass like a string, like a name, it will match against the ID. Yeah. So if you need to delineate it somehow, still you would want to make it a different route for some reason. Like I don't know, you could do like slash user slash name slash colon name or something like that, right? So you would just make it different. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on this part? Okay. All right. So those are the verbs. Okay. All right. And after you go to this route, colon ID, okay, when you go to the controller side, okay, you will be able to get the value using this keyword called params. Okay, so params is, what kind of data structure do you guys think this is? Dictionary. Yeah, it's a dictionary. Okay, so you have a params dictionary, and what do you call this part? Huh? Symbol? Yeah, it's a symbol, but it's also a key for the dictionary, right? Yeah, it's both. Okay, so you pass this symbol slash key into the dictionary, right, and it will evaluate to something. And what it will evaluate to is whatever you have in your URL that replaced this colon ID, right? So if someone went to users slash 5 slash edit, params colon ID would equal to 5. Okay. Right. So you have it automatically available for you in your controller method. Okay. Now here you can also store it in this thing. What is this called? Yeah, instance variable. Okay. All right, instance variable. All right. All right. So I guess this part is an OOP. So there's a very small amount that is an OOP. Okay. That I just remembered. But this is an instance variable, and I guess you could just know that it is an instance variable, even if you understand nothing else about OOP, you can still use it. Okay, so instance variable at user, okay, is just a variable that's being you're storing the piece of data in. Okay, all right. So once you stored an instance variable, it will be automatically available for you in your views. Okay, so inside a views file, right? Inside like, I don't know, like a p tag or an h3 tag or whatever it is, I could write something like this. Okay, and this, actually I believe you're going to need to use, oh gosh, what's the thing for better Ruby again? I think it's this. I forget. I think it's that. Yeah, that. Okay. I think this is how you render something in embedded Ruby. Okay. We'll take a look at that again in a second. Okay. But basically, you input this into your HTML file, and then this symbol, okay, is the string interpolation part. So this will get evaluated to wherever the user's name is. Okay. So if I had a user object, right, and the user's name was Shane, okay, then this would print in my HTML file name : Shane. Okay, because that instance variable is automatically passed to the to the view. Okay.
All this code is in one class.
No, so this is in your routes.rb file. Okay. This one's in your controller, and this one is in your view file. So they're not all in one class. Okay, but I just grouped them together because that's the different pieces. 135 to 137 is in one class. Is in the controller's file. This part is how you're going to render it in the views file.
So it's just Jinja interpolation.
Yes.
With the instance variable. And
Yes.
the-
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And how can activate user be accessed outside the instance without getting an
Sorry, say that one more time.
activate user as an instance variable, right?
Yeah.
Without having a getter and setter of the class, how can you access those instance variable in views?
In views, it's automatically passed for you. So Rails just takes care of it for you. Yeah. Okay. But you're right. Normally, right, if we were doing Django, you'd have to pass it as a parameter or something, right? But Rails just does it for you. That's all. Okay. It's convenient, right? But it's also why it was good that you guys learned Flask first. You understand, that you need something like that, and you do need something like that. It would not normally be available, right? It is because Rails has like some other files that basically pull it over and pass it over there for you. Grabs all those instance variables and it's just like it imports all these helpers basically. Okay. Same thing with like with the params, right? The params are automatically available in your method, even though they came from this routes.rb file. And it's because that Rails is just set up that way. All right, this is how you store a session, how you store a flash notice. Okay, same idea as with Django, right? Store your session data, flash data. I'm not gonna go over how to do that. Okay, but you guys will just work through it. Okay, same thing. Redirect to, same other option, compared to rendering, right? You can redirect to another path. Okay, you can just specify where you're going to redirect to. You could redirect to, a path using your @ sign as well. Okay, so your instance variable. So you could grab the instance variable at user and then user object called .id on it. That will give you the ID of the user object, and this will route you to like /user/5 or something. Okay, and then we'll go back to the routes file, match it against that, take you to like another Git path. Okay, this is if you're using a post request. Okay. All right, this is what the forms look like. I want to go over the post stuff now. I think we'll do post stuff like Monday. I don't think you need to know now. All right, I'm gonna skip the post stuff for now. Okay, we'll go over that later. Okay, so you guys should do get request stuff first. All right, so that's that for this. And do all this. We don't do it. I don't want to do those. I'm just going to try to assume this is good. All right. Oh, okay. I'm going to talk about this one. Yeah, I want to talk about this. Okay. This is debugging in Rails, okay? So this is like the whole IPython embed stuff I showed you guys, okay? But Rails' version is better, okay? So if you had problems with IPython and embed, and because of it you didn't really want to use it and stuff like that, I do recommend you use this one, okay? Because it works very well. It doesn't break on you and stuff, okay? So I will demonstrate this to you guys, okay? But basically you have a gem called pry, okay? And you can bundle install this gem, and that will create a breakpoint system for you guys. Okay, so that when you hit this command binding.pry, your flow in your controller will stop, and you will see in your Rails console exactly which line of code you're on, and you can inspect any variables, any parameters, any objects you have. Okay, including looking at where your params are, or anything like that. Okay. Did you guys do that in Python? Did you do that in Mean? No? Okay.
So Where does I'm sorry.
Huh?
Where does the line start? Is it in the terminal or in console?
It'll be in the terminal, which is it'll be in your server file. Like the server is running. The server's running. It'll be in that file. If you wanted to do in Python, there's another library called IPython, from IPython import embed or something like that, and that will do the same thing. But that one's like it's not as good as this one. Like it kind of breaks on you sometimes. Like I sometimes don't even really know if I want to show it to my students because it's so like problematic sometimes, and like it'll like freeze your server sometimes. But this one works great. So yeah. In general, I would recommend that when you go to a new language, you find a good solid like breakpoint system for debugging code. It helps you learn the system better and stuff. Yeah. So because I used this so much, I looked for a Python version basically when I started teaching Python. Okay, let's see. All right, let's do the flow. Okay, we're not going to cover that right now. We'll do that tomorrow. All right, I'm going to go back to my Rails app. Okay, so Rails app. Which one did I do yesterday? Demo model C? I think that's the one I did. Okay. Alright, here's our app. Okay, and for Jesse who wanted to know where all the files are, right, you have your models file, models folder, right, and here's all the RB files we made yesterday. Can you see that? Okay, and then there's also a controllers folder, okay, and your controller will go here after I generate it. And there's also a views folder right here, okay? And your views will go here after I generate them, okay? They will get generated automatically with the controller, I believe. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so I'm going to Rails G controller. Rails G controller users, okay? Index and show. Okay, so I'm going to make an index method and a show method. Okay, I will not bother with the post routes for now. Okay.
You said that there's a way where if you wanted to add another method, you would just add it automatically into it. You wouldn't do this again.
Yes.
So could you do an example where you just do index not
Only?
showing,
Okay, sure.
showing?
Sure. All right, so we'll just do Rails G controller users index. Okay. Doesn't matter what? Yes, you can do it all there. Yes. Okay, so I made all those files. Looks like I may have forgotten to run -t when I created this app because I have all those test files too, and all these coffee files and Sass files. You can ignore these, okay? Sass, coffee, test files. We ignore all of these, okay? We will be using RSpec later when we do testing, so we will not be using these kind of testing files. There's more than one testing library, and we're using one called RSpec rather than the built-in Rails one. Okay, and I'll explain more of that in detail later. And there's also coffee and Sass. Sass is another version of CSS. It's kind of like it allows you to write CSS in a little bit more concise way, and it gets translated into CSS. Basically, and coffee is another version of JavaScript. Coffee Java. So okay. So they call it CoffeeScript. Okay, and it gets translated into JavaScript. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I mean, that's where the name came from. So all right. So yeah, those you can note those files. But here we have our users controller. Okay, we got our index method. Okay, and then we have also our users folder under views, which has the index.html.erb file. Okay, so we got this file, we got this file, and then the other file we need to look at is the routes file, which is where is the routes file? I forgot. That's under config. Okay, all right. So the other file is under config. There's the routes file. Okay. What I just did was Command T, which does like a global search for files in Sublime. There's probably something similar in Atom, and you can just like quickly hop to another file by just writing the name of the file, right? So if I wanted to open that git ignore file, I could do .git ignore. Okay, and so you almost don't even know where files are if you do that. Okay. There's also when your applications get really big, you do Command Shift F. You can just look for a specific word. So if I look for the word user, I can see that these are all the times that user shows up. Okay. So this is very useful for some of this stuff. Like I can ignore the time that user shows up in a test file, right? Like obviously that's not affecting my application. But if you weren't sure how like the flow of your application went, you kind of forgot how things link together in Rails because it's doing some things for you, right? You can look for the method that you're trying to map to, right? And you can see where it shows up, and then you can piece things together and stuff too. Okay.
Where is the routes logging file?
It is under config. Yeah, config. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I do actually use those quite a bit. Command T and Command Shift F. It's just like find stuff when I was working. Your applications are relatively small, so it shouldn't matter as much. But if you when you get to bigger applications, it can help a lot. All right, so we got our routes, we got our users controller, and we have our view. Okay, so I'm going to launch my server, and I already have this get /users/index route. Okay, and actually, I think according to what Tim was saying, it is a little. You know how you were saying that it's a little redundant, right? To have the route stuff on the left side and the right side. I believe this still works, even if you don't specify the right side, and it will just map it based on this URL path. Okay, so you are a little correct. That's redundant, but then of course being able to map it out in this like longer form way, right? Like the way that I have it in. Tim, you understand what I'm talking about, right? Like you were saying that like you only need this side. You don't. Why do you need both of them, right? Yeah, right. So having this option allows you to map it somewhere else, but I think having just this will also just work, okay, without writing the right side of it. And it just knows that it's going to map it to users, controller, index method. Okay, so if I were to run Rails S now, okay, to start my server. Okay, my server has now started. Now we're to then go to localhost 3000. Okay, I'm now at my index page. Okay, and if I were to go to here, and let's say I want to return something, right? I think I can do like a render text. Render text. Okay, render :text. Welcome to Shane's page. Okay. So if I rewrite this now. We'll still do that, I think, and I think I need to actually go to /users/index. Okay, so go to /users/index. Here we go. Yeah, there's my page. Okay, so like we were saying, Tim was saying, right? It's redundant, so this will automatically go to users controller index. But if you want to specify something more specific, you can add users pound index method, right? Or if I wanted to rename my method for some reason, I could call this index x or something like that. Okay. So that's how I get this page to display. Okay, I'm just rendering the text directly. Now, at this point, I'm not using the view that was part of here, right? So I could also render Sometimes for this one. So I think if you just do this. Yes. Okay. Yeah. If in Rails, if you don't have anything at all, okay, it will automatically render the view that matches according to the folder. Okay. So because this is the user's controller index method, it's going to automatically look for the view that is in the user's folder under views folder and map the index.html.erb file. Okay. So that's why actually, if I didn't even have to do anything, right? I didn't have to specify the route any further than this. It's automatically defaulted to user's controller index method. User's controller index method automatically defaults to this particular view, which is the user's folder view under views, right? The folder /views /users /index.html.erb rendered automatically by default. Okay. All right. Any questions on this so far? Okay. So I believe I have. I'm going to add this binding.pry thing. Okay. I'm going to kill my server, and then I'm going to open the gem file, and I'm going to add a gem called pry. Okay. So this is the debugger. Okay, so I've added this gem into my gem file, and then I will how do I get this gem installed?
Bundle install.
Bundle install? Yeah, pretty good. Okay, bundle install. So this will install my gem. Okay, and we will see that up to what I already have installed. No, I already have it. Okay, I already have it installed in my environment. Okay, so now that I have pry installed, this command binding.pry should hit, okay, and I can do something like puts before pry, puts after first pry, put binding.pry. Okay, so I'm gonna try this. Now, if I were to then reload this page, let me restart the server first. Starting. Okay, and then if I reload this page, you'll see that it's spinning and it's stuck spinning. Okay, what that means is it has hit the binding.pry, meaning it's hit the breakpoint, so it's stopped in the code. Okay, so if I go to here, I'll see exactly where it stopped. Okay, and I've already put before pry right here. It's already printed the statement, and now it points to the arrow and tells me that I'm exactly at this line. Okay, and if I were to write exit, it will go to the next binding.pry, next breakpoint, and it was going to put after first pry after that, right? So it'll just continue to go. If I exit again, it'll be done, and it will load the page. Okay, it's pretty useful for debugging. Okay. Now, if I refresh the page again, it's going to do the,
Very interesting.
Very interesting? Yeah, okay. So if I refresh the page again, it'll do the exact same thing, right? So of course, if I don't want it always getting stuck, I want to make sure I remove my binding.pries, right? Definitely remove the binding.pries before you deploy. Okay, so yeah, they'll have fun on your web page. Okay, so make sure you remove those before you deploy. Okay. While you are here, though, you can examine any params and whatnot you have. Okay, so if I hit params, I can see what parameters I have. It tells me I'm the user controller, whatever I have. Okay, I also am connected to my ORM if I want. So I could do user to all, still get all my users. Okay, so I can access whatever data I want here. Okay, and I can on the spot manipulate my data as well. Okay, and trying to do whatever changes I want. So if you had like a variable, at user equals user.first, and then you hit binding.pry, and then you set the user to at user is user.last. Now suddenly you have the last user, instead of the first user, and your code will continue running and it will do whatever happens because you changed what that variable is. Okay, so you're like injecting code at that line.
Server console there? Is that what you're on?
I'm on the Rails console. Yeah, so this is it's the same one that's running the server, and so then you get this to pop up by basically making the server hit that method, right? Which is done by going to the page.
Just a quick question. Are there additional methods that come with params, or is params a method?
Params is a dictionary, and it will store a lot of different information for you. Right now, as far as what we've covered, what it stores for you is like the .id from like a URL. Okay, so it will also store all your form information as well later, but we'll cover that another time. I mean, you can also tell it stores some of these other things, but we're not using any of them, right? Like control, it tells you what controller you're in, or actually what method you're at, which is the action, but we're not utilizing it.
So it behaves the same like session would?
No.
Well, no, not that the session will log you in as that particular user, but it is storing something, right?
Think of params as think of params as a temporary dictionary that includes some temporary variables for that during the running of that particular method or that controller, right? Sessions last until like the next time you like your subsequent HTTP request, right? And the information is carried over to the next request. What's in your params is just what information Rails is storing for you inside that particular method. The corollary in Django is that you store the stuff yourself in like a context, right? It's just that Rails is taking care of the context for you, and that context is being stored in params. Okay, so it's good for your URL stuff, right? And it's also good for like your form submission data if you're running a post request. Okay, but it's not the same as sessions. They're both dictionaries. You can store information in both, but the underlying of how it's stored is different because session data is session data, right? So you can pass back and forth, and it's like from the client to the browser, client to the server, and it's being persisted from one request to next, and none of this stuff is. Okay. Yeah. All right. So all right. So let's do this. Okay. So if I wanted to add a show method that we didn't create, right? I would just do something like this. Okay, I create my show method. And then on the route side, what do you guys think I need to add? What is the show method supposed to do? Yeah, it just displays a specific user object, right? So what do you think this route would say? .id, yeah. It doesn't say /show, right? If it says /show, it would always just match for /show, and you wouldn't be able to delineate between user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is what this one looks like, and then I've created the method here, and then the controller also normally creates this file for me, right? So I need to make a new file, and this is going to be called show.html.exe. Okay, users show page. Okay, so after I have this, should be able to go to /users/ like 2 or something. I did not. Did I not add the show method to the controller? I did.
You have the prize on
Prize. Oh, yeah, I didn't exit the prize to start with. All right, let's do this prize first. Let's just start with it. Okay. So select something. Missing controller key on routes definition. Missing controller key on routes definition because it's that's what it sounds like. I'm surprised. I don't know. I'm gonna try something. RP blocks. Okay, I'm gonna look at books one. Okay, so let's get rid of this for now. I'm gonna try something. Okay, this should be able to start. Just gonna confirm. Okay, so that starts. And then I'm going to do a Rails G controller books index and show. Okay, and I'm going to see what that route looks like. Oh, that's fine. Okay. Books show. Alright, let's see. Okay, let's look. Okay. I'm kind of experimenting for a second, and I'll explain. Let's. Sounds like you might have to just do this. Here's okay, let's try that. Stuck on something. There we go. Okay. All right. So in this case, you need to set the key if you're going to do it this way. It looks like this should be able to work somehow too, but I'm not entirely sure why. Let's go this way. G controller. I'm trying to figure out how like the generator works with the show method, because if I go to the /books/ so /books/index will probably work, right? But /books/3 does not work. Oh, that works actually. That's not what yeah, it looks like yeah. So that's not good.
Or would you just need to change the show to ID and then
Yeah, so this is what I want to look at Rails guides for a sec. Maybe the controller needs to be written a little bit differently. Let's see. Controller. Where's the generators? Generators. Okay, creating. I don't want custom ones. Let's see what's in here. Rails G controller. That's what Rails G controller. It's not in here. Alright. Oh, yeah, here's welcome generator, welcome index. Rails generates controller. They're not using it to generate anything beyond index. All right, let me use my battery real fast. Also try. I think I do is you try just this. Let's look at this. Rails generate controller show method. Generate controller with all the RESTful routes. Okay. Yeah, it is show. So I didn't know what you mean. Oh, they changed it.
You use as scaffolding.
All right, yeah, I am not sure why it's show. Let me look into it and just let you guys know later. Okay. All right. So, but at any rate, you can just write it out like this. Okay, and that will get you to have it built out. Okay.
So if you were to do this, where you do like book/show, would you change it to colon ID?
Yeah, as it's written right now, you would have to. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because they. I mean, but it is their like they did make the right HTML file for you, right? Show.html.erb. So I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm not sure if it's because Rails changed it. Like reading that Stack Overflow, there's like some difference between Rails 2 and 4 and stuff like that. So I'm not exactly sure. So I need to look into it. Yeah, if you did this way, you just have to change this to colon ID and books couch show or something. That would work. Okay. If you have, okay, so now I'm currently going to this page, right? Books count /users/1 or something. Okay. So what I want to display here is the first user. Okay, so the way I would do this is in my controller, I could put something like yeah. So how do I get the first user? Okay, and where would I store it to? Yeah, instance variable. Okay, I user equals user.first. All right, and now inside my show page, I would be able to do user dot what do I call it? Name. Okay, so I can go to name. User dot name. Okay, and then this should load. Oh, yeah, for this one. What's going on? There you go. Chain. Okay. So the difference between equal sign and not equal sign is whatever is returned within this phrase. Okay. With the equal sign, it is displayed. Without the equal sign, it's just run. Okay. So if you're doing like a for loop, your for loop portion should, or like an if statement, right? Your for loop portion, if statement portion should not have the equal sign, and then the part that you want to display as text on the page should have the equal sign. All right, that's the very basics of controllers and views.
So in your controllers, you gave user output, but that's not really what you would pass as a parameter. So do it with the parameter that's
It's not what it was passed as a parameter. Oh, yes. So that would still be Shane, and this would probably be like, I think they're both called Shane. No. Alright, let's. Oops. Here we go. Right. Rails is really fast once you like pick up stuff, right? Like, because the amount of things you actually need to type is like so little. If you like know where stuff to or where to go for stuff, you can do things really, really quickly. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? That was a good question. I forgot to do that. Okay.
So you're using the show as like a specific one because index is displaying all.
Yeah, index should display all. Yeah, so ideally what would be an index would be like users equals user.all. And then in the index page, you would write something like, oh, let's start this. Let me write index slash index. Okay. Oh, no, whoops. Fine. Write something more useful. Okay, for I in at users. For you in at users. There we go.
Can you show me your show run?
So why would you display everything on the index?
Why? That's just the default for what you presume the index route means, is that you show everything on the page. So your 7 RESTful routes, right, with that maps as like your really basic CRUD applications, is that the index shows all of your resources. So you go to like a /products page, it shows all of the products. You click on a link for a specific product, it takes you to the show product page for that particular product. Yeah, but you know, like websites are usually not so simple that they are organized in that very specific way, which is why you don't use scaffolding.
I was asking that because just when we were in Django, index page always happened to be our
Homepage.
Yeah, the whole it was just like a registration, login registration form.
Yeah, you could. We built it that way, but in Django, if we were in Django, like you could argue that should have been like a /login page or /registration page rather than your home or index page.
I mean, but if you also think about like if you just go to like Yahoo.com, there's like a login or create your account like just up in the top corner,
Right.
and then all of content or whatever.
Yeah, and then you usually like switch over or something, kind of link or something, right? Just stop a second.